Hey guys, and welcome back to another book review. So this book I haven't really heard about, but apparently it's a really well-known book in the horror community. I guess I just had never heard of it or I hadn't seen anyone talk about it. But this book took me on a ride, and I don't know, it's a very interesting book. Very different than other things I have read, but I enjoyed it a decent amount. So this is I Am Thinking of Ending Things by Iain Reid. And this book, it had a lot of positive reviews, mainly 4 stars on Goodreads, which I think is pretty dang good for a book, like a horror book, to get. And I hadn't heard that many people talking about it though, but this did come out in 2016, I believe, so I think I'm a little late to like the party on this book. I think most people have already read it, but yeah, it's totally new to me, and this book is a wild ride. So let me read you the plot. The plot is very, very short. So it says, in this deeply suspenseful and irresistibly unnerving debut novel, a man and his girlfriend are on their way to a secluded farm. When the two take an unexpected detour, she is left wondering if there is any escape at all. What follows is a twisted unraveling that will haunt you long after the last page is turned. Very, very straightforward. I mean, it doesn't give you much, which I'm okay with a lot of the time. I don't like to know every single detail going into a book. I kind of like not knowing, and that's how I felt going into this book. I didn't know a thing. I knew that it was a boyfriend and a girlfriend traveling to a farm. They take a detour. That's all I knew. I wasn't expecting what kind of horror. I didn't know if this was going to be serial killers or psychological or supernatural, paranormal. I just didn't know because it doesn't give you anything. So I was very, very intrigued from the plot because it just doesn't give you a lot, and for me that is I need to know kind of thing. So if you don't give me a lot in the plot, I'm gonna have to read it because I need to know what you're trying to tell me. So let me just tell you a little bit about the book. Obviously I'm not going to go into a lot of details, just going to tell you like the main 50 pages of the book. This book is pretty short. It's only like 210 pages, I believe. So I'm gonna literally only tell you about the little bitty bit of the beginning. The book starts with Jake and his girlfriend traveling to the country to his parents' farmhouse. And this whole book is told in the perspective of the girlfriend, and she is never given a name. You don't know her name, you just know her as the main character. No one references her name, no one asks her name, no one says her name. She's just the girlfriend and he's just Jake. The very beginning of the book is them traveling, but it's also her talking to herself about how she's going to end things with Jake. She's thinking about ending their relationship and she doesn't really know how to go about it or if she's going to, but she's thinking of ending things with him. She talks about how they met at a trivia night at a bar. She talks about how she finds his intellect and his intelligence very attractive and sexy to her. But even though she talks about all his good points, she talks about how they're just not gonna last. It's not gonna work out. They're gonna have to break up. It's just better off that way, which is a little confusing when you're reading because it's very he's perfect. No, we're gonna break up. And I'm like, okay, interesting. They have a lot of deep philosophical talks, which I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I don't understand half of it because I'm just not a philosophical person. I just don't think like that. It's just hard for me to think about questions of the world and questions of life. I'm just someone who tends not to question too much. I like to question, serious things, but it's just not in my realm of being to be like, what is the meaning of life? What is this? I'm a very anxious person, and if I start thinking too philosophical and getting too in my own head, it'll just not be a good thing for me. So I just don't think philosophically like that. And their talks were aggravating to me. I'm not gonna lie. If you don't like philosophy, this will be a little hard for you because they talk very, very philosophical, and it's frustrating at times, I'm not gonna lie, because I just don't get it and I just don't care, and I don't care about their talks. So what I like to focus on when they're talking is how they're saying it, not necessarily what they're saying, but how they're saying it. Like if they're getting upset, or if they seem angry, or if they seem upset at the other person, I like to look at that when they're talking. So if you're like me, that might help you through this book a little bit. So that's basically what I did. I didn't really pay attention to what they were saying too much. I did read it, but I didn't like think too in depth about it. And honestly, I don't think it really mattered for the end of the book, if I'm honest. I think you still get the same effect, so just throwing that out there in case you are like me and you don't really care about the philosophical parts. If you're into philosophy, then you might really enjoy this. So just wanted to give you a heads up. She also mentions that she's getting these calls from the caller. So this man calls her on her phone from her own phone number and then leaves these nonsense voicemails that don't really make sense. They're very like puzzly, like maybe she needs to solve it or something. Like it's something like that. And she doesn't mention it. She said she's never told anyone. Jake doesn't know, none of her friends know, nobody knows. She's just dealing with these calls all on her own. And then they arrive at his parents' house finally, and then this is when things start getting weird. And that's where I'm gonna leave you, because honestly, I can't tell you a lot because a lot of it is dialogue. A lot is dialogue. And honestly, a lot is inner monologues as well. Like the girl, the main character, talking to herself, an inner monologue happening, and then their talks, and then how they interact with the parents. So, I mean, it's just... It's there. I just can't tell you anymore. You'll just have to read it if this sounds interesting to you, because there's just, it'll give everything away. So, like I said, the book is a very short, 210 pages, I think, and it's very easy to read. It's not a hard to read book. You can read it in like one night. It's not a big deal. I just sat down and read it and it was like done. And I kind of like that sometimes with horror books. I like when they just get straight to the point and it's easy peasy, done. And then I'm like, yes, that was satisfying. And that's how I felt about this book. It was just a satisfying length, a satisfying end plot story. That's what I like. I like when it just satisfies me and it's just like, yes. And that's what this book did for me. So if you're one of those people who like that satisfying length, I think this is a perfect length. It's not too short like a short story where it's only like 30 to 50 pages, but it's not too long where it's Stephen King like 988 pages. So honestly, both characters are very strange. From the moment I started the book, I didn't really like either of them. I thought Jake was weird. I thought the girl is weird. I don't really get them. And honestly, it makes more sense as the book goes on why I think you're not really supposed to like get them. They're both just very strange characters. The conversations that they have are very strange. I don't really get their relationship. It's very odd. It all makes sense in the end, obviously, but it's just a very weird relationship. Honestly, the whole book, I'm just kind of confused about why they're dating, so... The main character is a very strange girl. She's very confusing. She's very almost wishy-washy. She talks about how she's gonna end things with Jake. Like she's going to see his parents, but this is the perfect time. Like after this, she can just end things with him. It'll be easier. This is what's gonna happen. And then in the next paragraph, she'll be talking about he's so perfect. He does this. He's so kind. He's so wonderful. And I'm just like, huh? I don't really understand. And then she's like, well, maybe we will stay together. And I'm like, do you want to break up or do you not want to break up? Like, girl, just pick, because it's getting irritating me listening to you talking about how he's horrible or how you're not going to work, and then how he's great and how he's perfect and you're going to try to make it. And I'm like, okay, I don't understand. So that gets a little annoying because she's just like back and forth all the time. I would kind of consider this book a slow burn. It is short, so it's not a very boring slow burn. I'm kind of not a fan of slow burn books usually. Sometimes slow burns are amazing. This one, it's definitely a slow burn, but it does pick up speed as you're reading. So it's not too draggy. It's just a slow build, but it's not a typical slow build. It's like a slow, fast build, if that makes sense. It's not too slow where you get bored and you want to throw the book down, but it's not too fast where you read it in 10 seconds and then you're upset because it's over. It's definitely in the middle. It has that slow effect, but it picks up speed fairly quickly. After the driving portion of the book, once they finally reach the farmhouse, it goes way faster. I mean, it picks up speed real quick. The ending is not what I expected, but not in a bad way. I was very shocked by the ending, but it made sense, which makes me happy because I hate when they make an ending very like surprising and it's like, why'd you do that? Why would you do that to me? This is more of a surprise in a, yes, that makes 100% sense. And I'm mad that I didn't see it because that's how I felt. I had a few endings in mind that I thought could be the way the book was going. I was close, but I was a little bit off because of one thing. So I did like that because it was like a surprise and I like surprise endings. I don't like to guess the endings all the time. Sometimes it's really annoying when I guess it because I like to be surprised. And if you can surprise me, that means you did a good job most of the time. I do want to say I don't think this book is for everyone. It's not inherently scary. It's not a typical horror book. It just gives you that feeling in your chest when you're like, ooh, something bad's about to happen, and it plays with that a lot. It gives you that creepy feeling where you can't put your finger on what's creepy until the very end and you're like, oh my God, that's the scary part. But I kind of like that. Because it's different. It's different for me. I don't want the typical scares because it doesn't get to me anymore. I'm so hardened to horror that these typical scares aren't scary. And this was really different for me and very unique, and I liked that because it still gave me that pit in my stomach and that feeling in my chest where I knew something bad was going to happen, so I got a little anxious, and then it just hit you and you're like, that's what I was waiting for. Again, I think the philosophy aspect wouldn't be for everyone, but I think you can get past it because I didn't particularly like it, and I still think it was a really good book. Overall, I actually enjoyed this book more than I thought I was going to. I had very low expectations for it, but I'm actually super impressed with the overall ending and how things played out. I did think I was gonna hate it when I first started it. I was not too thrilled, but as I got more into it, it was pleasantly creepy and I enjoyed that, and I did think it was a pretty good book. Yeah, so I do highly recommend it if it sounds like something you might like. I really think you should check it out and give it a chance. It is very different, and I have to say that it's a very different horror, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think sometimes different horror is what we need in this horror community. I think a lot of things are the same, and I'm kind of done with that. I want different. I want unique, and I thought this was different and unique, and I really liked that. That's all I have for you guys. That is all I have to say about, where's the book? That's all I have to say about I Am Ending Things by Iain Reid. Please let me know if you have read this book in the comments down below. Let me know what your thoughts on it are, just in case other people are looking and they want to get a second opinion, because this is just my opinion on the book. Not everyone's going to agree with me, and I want everyone to be able to see both sides of the book. So if you have any differing opinions, or if you have the same opinion, please let me know in the comments down below. And again, if you have any recommendations, please let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, I hope you guys like, subscribe, comment, and I will hopefully see you guys in my next video. Bye!